The Three Down Greencast is brought to you by the Pile of Bones Brewing Company. Home delivery available in Regina at sassbeerdelivery.ca. Welcome to the Three Down Greencast. You are listening to the internet's only Going on Vacation with a Murderer podcast. I'm Joel Gasson with John Fraser as usual. And yes, you heard me right. So John.
Yes.
I have a question for you, as this is of course our second edition of Ask John Anything.
Yes,
we will get to in a little bit. Some great questions from from the Twitterverse mostly.
Good ones. We got some real good ones. Yep.
And some real good ones because we're not going to talk a whole lot of football in this episode because I think both of us have reached the point in all this XFL or will they or won't they play process of just let me know when something happens.
Right. However, a great name came up, and I have to give Greg from the Piffles podcast credit for this. Mm-hmm. From now on, can we just, until something definitive is said, can we just call it the Sex FL? Full credit to Greg. He came up with that one. I flat out told him, I'm stealing this, but I'll give you kudos. So from until we know that there's separation or there's something going on, we're officially in the Sex FL off season.
Yes, sure. We'll go with that. Because, I mean, there's all kinds of speculation that continues to run rampant, and everyone's still arguing with everyone over every single thing about this, and I'm just like, I'm done with it. I'm like, let me know when something happens. That's where I'm at.
Right. I've gotten enough arguments on social media this week that have almost gotten me fired. So I'm fully with you on this one. I'm just gonna shut my mouth, stay the F off of Facebook, and just let the chips fall where they may with the Sex FL.
So I discovered something on Twitter the other day. And I'm going to ask you a question here, John.
Yes, Joel. Yes.
If you were paying for a trip somewhere, and you were going on said trip to an unknown location, but you were going with the following celebrities.
Right.
Two-time Super Bowl winner, NFL Hall of Fame inductee, alleged murderer, Ray Lewis.
Alleged. Big air quotes on that. Sold out his butt.
World champion pro wrestlers Nikita Koloff, I don't know him, and Sting.
Like the makeup guy?
Yeah, Sting.
Yeah, that would descend from the rafters.
Yes.
Yeah. Sting. Yeah, currently WCW for life.
Did a little stint in AEW recently, I believe. I don't know if he's still there or not.
Really?
Yeah. And he actually gets to be Sting. Yeah, in WWE doesn't know his name, apparently.
Interesting.
Yeah. 4-time World Series champion and Simpsons star, Darryl Strawberry. And some other people I don't know.
Sorry, just Darryl Strawberry makes me think of sniffing.
There's a few on that list that do, I think, so.
Okay, so
if you were going on vacation with that collection of people,
right,
where do you think you would be going?
Vegas is the first thought. Maybe Amsterdam, like
probably not Atlanta.
Yes, definitely not Atlanta.
I don't know if Ray Lewis has been back to Atlanta since.
I don't think he has, and although if you were with Ray Lewis in Atlanta, I don't think anybody's going to bother you. I think Vegas is number one. Mm-hmm. Like some sort of like resort, like a Mexico resort where it's just like random capture your nostalgia from like, and it's such a weird mishmash though, because like Ray Lewis played during our formative years. Sting was nearing the tail end of his WCW career in our formative years, and like Darryl Strawberry was probably like, by the time we were watching baseball, he probably had to have his nose replaced a couple of times from doing rails and rails and rails off the bums of people. So
like I think most people our age would probably know more Darryl Strawberry as the guy with the long sideburns on that episode of The Simpsons. Yes, I think he was still playing baseball late, like early in the 90s, but it wasn't much longer after that, if I remember correctly.
Well, yeah, I mean, with Blow, he could basically play forever. Just, don't ask him. Don't ask him if your toast smells like burning. Yeah, Vegas. Maybe like I said, like I could see like a Mexican resort comboed with like a UFC fight, like just to throw more randomness in there. That's what I think. Like I think like party, like Daryl's got his hookups. You might get shot. you might OD on coke. I don't know what Sting's vices are, but I feel like he might hit you with a club, and the other guys just, all wrestlers are a little goofy. So I think it'd be very much a misfit adventure that would wind up with you on a stranger's floor, maybe covered in your own vomit at 4 a.m, and you're wondering, how the hell do I get home, as people you don't know argue over whether or not you're dead.
How many locations do you think you would have to go through around the world before you realize that you would be going from April 11th to April 18th, 2022 on the Champions Holy Land Tour?
Wait, Jerusalem?
Yes. Yes. And I also learned, so it's $31.50, not $31.50, but $3,150 US to go on this trip to the Holy Land with that misfit of characters. And I just saw in the fine print on the bottom, the flight is not included.
Whoa! So, what is included then? For $3,200, I'm assuming that's American, right?
Yeah, US dollars.
So add 40 ticks to that for us here in Canada if you want to go to the Holy Land with 2 wrestlers, a murderer, alleged, and a coke addict. How do you, how does that even come together? That is the most,
I don't know,
random bunch of celebrities. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just
no.
It's out of desperation, some booking agent went down the list. It's they had a budget. Okay, we can spend 100 G on appearance fees. Okay, Ray Lewis is 50, Daryl Strawberry is 25. Who else we got? Couple wrestlers? Yeah, let's do it. Pitter patter.
Yeah. So this is sort of a whole company called Icon Destinations that does just a series of these sort of kinds of trips, and there's a whole section of the Holy Land trip. And so there's the one with Ray Lewis. There's a lot of other ones that are these. I don't have any idea who any of these people are. Where it's supposed to be
the Newsboys. I'm there now.
Yeah, that's that one. But Ray Lewis is actually in a few of these.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, they seem to have, because there's the same time frame for a lot of these trips, so he's just packaged into a bunch of them. Because at the same time, there's Together for Easter in the Holy Land with these 2 people, Linda Tate, I don't know who these people are, but Ray Lewis, you can see his picture there, and Daryl Strawberry. So these 2, Together for Easter and Champions in the Holy Land, are the same trip, but booked differently, with the other one having 2 separate guests compared to the other ones, basically.
So the other thing I find remarkable about this. I'm on the page right now. I'm on the Champions.
And when you go with Daryl Strawberry, Dr. Tracy Strawberry is also a part of that trip in a different package.
So you go on one trip with Daryl. His wife's on a different package.
Mm-hmm. And Daryl's in that same package. So I don't know how they split these people's times up between these different groups. But
well, I can't see more than 12 people paying for this. It's a Canadian company too, Gas.
Is it?
Yes, look down at the bottom. Contact us. 160 Jasper Avenue, Tower 1, Edmonton, Alberta.
Huh. I mean, Alberta's not that surprising, I guess, but
they have service club tours. You can go with the Kiwanis, the Lions, to Egypt or Dubai, or they have a special one just for Catholics.
Ooh.
Religious tour. Oh, this website is very. Oh, you can go to the Vatican City with Kiwanis.
There appears to be one where you go with presidential impersonators.
No, you're making that up.
No, if you go into the Holy Land tour, Holy Land with special guests down, there's John Morgan 8-day Holy Land God and Country tour, October 5th to October 12th, 2021. Don't know if that one's going to happen. It's a special guest, Ben Graham, Paul Pitts, West Hampton, by one trip, blah, blah, blah. And then it says presidential impersonator, and there's 2 people on there that's George W. Bush and Donald Trump, but it's clearly not them. So I don't know if it's one guy playing both of these people. That's quite the range.
That's amazing. I can't, and oh my goodness, I'm looking down at some of these, and everyone with a Christian rock band, everyone with the music, with the artist, could not in fact be like more like when I say Christian rock band, like these people are exactly what you're thinking of. Like that is like, oh my god, this could not be more cliche. Yeah, I can't believe the John Morgan with the bad Trump face and the George W. Bush face. Like, just could you imagine how annoying that would be?
Ugh.
Like, I can't think of something I'd rather do less than go on a trip with a comedian who impersonates Republic. Like, is he in character the whole time? That's my question.
Ugh, I don't know.
Are you praying? You're at the weeping wall or something like that, and I had a wall once. The wall is huge. Maybe we should go to China. The whole time! Like, imagine that!
Yeah, this one it says, join us for entertainment, ministry, and prayer.
Wow, that's...
I will say, based on a lot of these prices, the ones with Ray Lewis and, like, Daryl Strawberry at only a few $100s more are probably a better deal than some of these other ones. All these other ones are at least $2,500 plus. And then at $31.95 or whatever for the Ray Lewis and Company.
Or you're right. You can actually the Scribe TV Paul Pitts made to TV actor for $28.95, or with the Valentine's celebration with special guest Avalon.
I assume you have to be married to go on that one then, right? There's no funny business before marriage, right?
That's I'm sure. Like, would they kick you off the trip if you did that? Yeah, no, you're right. Like Ray Lewis and Daryl Strawberry, despite the fact, like, they're the only ones that I feel like for an extra $300 might end up being an adventure. You might kill a guy. You might do blow off of somebody's body parts. Sting might just hit you with a club. Like, for an extra $300, I'm taking that risk. Like, I wish I was like Oprah rich. And I could go on one of these just to tell you what it's like.
Yeah. I mean, we are open to sponsorship, so if Icon Destinations is listening, because we've given you such free promotion, if you wanted to, I don't really want to go, but if you want to send John, he's gonna have another kid soon. He's gonna need an escape at some point. So
I really will. I would even go with oh wow, I would even go for the once in a lifetime performance with iconic Christian band Petra, performed in Petra.
Oh yes, Petra, of course.
Like I gotta say, the juxtaposition between Petra, they've got like two guys that are like wearing like the shirt over a shirt, like we all did, like when we thought we were Jason Biggs back in the 90s. Like they look like the young like youth pastor who like tries to bring you on board by swinging Wonderwall while you're having a campfire. And then the other two dudes could not, like, the one dude has, like, shoulder-length, blonde, feathered hair. Like, that must be the lead singer, because, like, that guy looks like he's frickin' Bon Jovi. And then the other guy looks like the grumpy church dad that bans the barbecue every single time, wears New Balance sneaks, and tells kids to get off his lawn. Like, this is, like, icondestinations.com. You will have a great time. Like, I put this shit in my veins. Like, when you sent me this, I didn't look much further past the Ray Lewis trip, but now I'm like, I am in a rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there's other companies that do this too. I just haven't really been bothered to look all that closely.
I've got some time the next couple days here coming up. I'm sure I could do some research.
Yeah, get back to us on that, and we'll reconvene at some point in time and discuss your findings.
Works for me. When maybe there'll finally be some Sex FL news.
Maybe, who knows? Or maybe we'll just be perpetually stuck without news and not knowing what's going on forever.
Well, shit, we've pulled it off for a year and a bit now, so let's just keep going. Let's just divulge more to the nonsense.
That's pretty much exactly what we're doing on this episode. Is, of course, this is going to be our second edition of Ask John Anything, where I decide to put it out on Twitter that you can ask me a question and I will make John answer it, rather than do, usual mailbag type stuff where we, both of us answer questions and that kind of thing. We're just going to put John on the spot. So that's pretty much where we're going with this. And we are going to talk a little bit, sort of about football. The Buffalo Bills / Buffalo Sabres have a plan to return to full capacity, and it involves vaccines, which is a bit of an interesting discussion sort of around where sports could be headed in that, and whether that's the right thing to do or not. But before we get to all that, as usual, John, what is in the glass this week?
In the glass this week, because I find myself often getting up about midway through the podcast, once to pee, but more often than not grabbing myself another beer, I just went, you know what? I'm just going to get a big old bottle of the Ella Pale from 9 Mile. Delicious. Comes in a big 660 milliliter bottle. It's a delicious IPA, nice and hoppy. I haven't had anything hoppy in a while, so it was my go-to tonight. And again, supporting 9 Mile coming up here on their 6th anniversary. I was hoping to score some of their 6th anniversary ale, but alas, I could not find it at the one place I went on my way home from work today.
Tried real hard.
While I was also in a rush because I needed to walk the dog. I didn't try. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't try very hard. There's a new liquor store like down another third one. Like I don't know if like I'm skewing the metrics here with my recent divulge into being a functioning alcoholic since the pandemic began, but I've gone from having one liquor store in driving distance to having 4 all within 2 or 3 minutes of my house. I'm sure it's just coincidence, but there was like
you can't rule it out. I guess you can't rule it out.
Which is good, which is great because now I can mix it up, and the cashiers don't know my name anymore.
Not yet, anyway.
Well, if they know me my name at 4 liquor stores, well, shit, Gas. That might be intervention time, buddy.
For me, we've kind of done it again.
Of course we have.
I thought maybe now it's not the same beer, but I do have also a can from 14.5 Kilometer Legacy.
You got the April Fool's can.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not one of those, but I just, it says 9 Mile Legacy on it. I just wanted to make the reference to their pretty good April Fool's joke that they ran.
Oh, it was so good. That was brilliant.
Absolutely, yeah. If you missed it, they ran a video. They had a little video with their owner, Sean, there, and they discussed how they were in violation of the Weights and Measures Act, being known as 9 Mile Legacy. Right. So they were rebranding to 14.5 Kilometer Legacy. And then the killer line at the end is like, so if you want to come back and pound some back, and he's like, what? Sorry, kilogram some back. So that's kind of my go-to line now. So I am drinking a very kilogrammable beer in the 9 Mile Legacy, The Ticket, Belgian-style blonde ale.
That is
it's one of those very kilogrammable, very easy drinking, one of those kind of beers that taste like beer. It's kind of the way to describe it if you want to get into those sorts of things. Nothing fancy, nothing that's gonna, set you off one way or the other, but it's just a nice, easy drinking beer.
That doesn't give you a hoppy blast of the mouth like the pale. So if you want to...
I'm not even sure. Like, in the ingredients, it just says contains barley wheat. Like, I don't even know what hops are in it, if any. Probably a very minimal amount.
Well, I heard they recently added more hops.
Mm.
Super bad reference? Did you pick up on that one?
I did not. I've seen the movie a bunch, but I don't remember.
Oh, it's when McLovin is trying to use his fake ID to buy beer. He's up at the counter, and he's all nervous, and she's like, oh, this is a beer you buy. And he's like, yes, I heard they recently added more hops. And then he gets KO'd by the guy. Oh, great movie. That is on my recovery list this weekend now. That and probably Rounders 3 more times.
Okay. I did not remember that. I remember that scene, but not that specific line. No.
Well, now you're going to have to watch it because now you're going to go. John's right. I need to see if there is somehow a Fraser curse and we're now in an alternate timeline where that line doesn't exist.
Maybe. I mean, the Fraser curse didn't kick in last year because you said the CFL wasn't going to play and they didn't. So maybe that was like the turning point of the whole thing.
Huh. Right. And I've said some things about vaccine rollouts going smoothly privately to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if I say it on Twitter or on this podcast, that's where the Fraser curse comes in. So I'm just not...
You kind of just said it, though.
But did I? I haven't said what I've said about vaccine rollouts.
You did. You told me. Anyway.
Well, either way, I'm just doing this all.
I mean, Scott Moe did just get his today, so he's free to do whatever he wants with it now, I guess.
Listen. I've upset people with my comments about Scott Moe in the past couple days. I'll give him a free. Leader. I'll give our dear leader a pass for a day or two.
Yeah.
God, I need a drink.
That Tylenol's going to hit you later, and it's going to be bad. I can't wait.
Oh, no. The Tylenol's tomorrow.
Well, that's later. That's not now.
Oh, right. Yeah. No, it's Advil tonight. It's Advil and beer because so we've alluded to it, and I don't think I've announced it, but no. I'm getting a vasectomy tomorrow night, which is...
So John wanted the distraction this evening of recording this podcast as something to do to get his mind off the pending surgery.
And I drink when I podcast, and because the recovery timeline has me taking a lot of Tylenol rather than Advil, I'm like, that's real bad for the liver, so my liver's beat to shit enough as it is. Probably give him a break for a day or two. So tonight is the last night I can enjoy some beers, so that's also what I'm doing as part of the podcast. And by the time I have 2 or 3 beers, I'll feel like sleeping. I'll forget about the fact that a stranger I've never met before is about to stick a pokey thing inside of my most private area tomorrow night and send me home with a bag of ice and some more Tylenol.
And then you'll buy some frozen peas.
I got an ice maker. I've got my spot on the couch figured out. I'm going to just live in the basement because I'm not so much concerned about myself doing something, but between my kids and my dog, my nuts are assaulted constantly.
Yes, of course.
Constantly, right? Kids jumping on you, dog jumping on you. I just have to kind of hunker down in the basement and hope that nobody touches the cash and prizes, right? And it's funny because the more people I talk to, my wonderful boss, Darren, who has my back and love him to death for that. Darren also said, I was like ready to play hockey the next day, but I've heard of others whose equipment has swollen up to the size of baseballs. So it's a real wide range here. So I'm just trying to keep my mind off it, enjoying the fact I can drink tonight. And
So with that in mind, that's when I put out the call for let's do another edition of Ask John Anything, and I didn't even run it by you before doing it. I just decided to do it.
Which was fantastic. And I've been so busy at work that I didn't, like, normally I can kind of see the questions. I saw 2, and I have prepared responses for both of them because I will answer them.
Those are probably the 2 you maybe need the most thought for. So,
which is fair. Actually, I didn't. I had an answer for one of them. Actually, both of them pretty instantaneously.
Okay. So the first one comes from the aforementioned Greg on Sports.
Yes.
Of the Piffles podcast fame.
Yes.
Designer of graphics. So that sort of thing.
Yeah. All around good guy.
Yes. He asked. Well, he had 2 questions. We'll go one by one here.
Okay.
If John Fraser was a tree, what tree would he be?
I would be a fir tree because I'm unnecessarily hairy. Get it? Fur, hairy. But
I like that we're talking about wood before you're getting surgery down there.
Before getting the monk changed. I would either be that, or to some people, I'm very annoying. To some.
No.
Probably more. No.
No. That's hard to believe. That's hard to believe.
Really? Somebody once described me as, you're like an olive. People that like olives really like you, but there's a lot of people that really don't like you. And I took that to heart. So there's nothing more annoying than, and you can relate being an Ontario guy. You're at the lake. There's always a lot of like pine trees, evergreen trees around the lake. And they look beautiful. And they smell great. And they make great Christmas trees. They have lots of great things. But holy crap, stepping on a pine needle barefoot is akin to stepping on a Lego block. So to some, I'm a pine tree. I got real deep there.
You did. That's a lot of thought putting into what kind of tree you would be.
Yeah, and that's funny. That's not one of the questions I knew about. Those are coming later.
Yes. And Greg's follow-up, he would like to have the definition of rube. It's a word you use a lot. You call people a rube a lot. And he would like the proper definition of that.
as I learned in an angry email to my boss, CC to me, the definition of rube is apparently a country bumpkin that often city folk call the country folk. And some people find it tremendously offensive.
What? So the country folk call the city folk rube?
No. The city folk. So, like, somebody from Toronto would call us here in Saskatchewan rubes.
Okay.
Because we're all lowbrow city country bumpkins that touch your cousin's bum and have wheat hanging out of your mouth. Right? That's the perception, I guess, with a rube. And as I learned this week, some people find that terribly offensive. More people find it hilarious, but some people find it terribly offensive.
Now, what did you think it meant before you actually found out? What was the definition? What's the definition you were going off?
Dumbass. You're a dumbass, right?
Or as the female, or one of my favorite expressions from a former premier, a jackwagon.
Exactly. I love the term jackwagon. Yeah. Right? like to me, before I knew that rube was A, offensive, and B, the actual meaning of it, it was certainly, I just thought it was like calling somebody a dumbass without calling somebody a dumbass, right? Because, to me, I'd rather be called a rube than a dumbass, but to find out that it's like country bumpkin, it's a little strange.
So so we could have renamed the Banjo Bowl the Rube Bowl.
No, I think it's too offensive.
Well, I mean, in another world where it's not offensive.
Well, but it's very offensive, Gas.
Apparently.
It is very offensive. Super offensive.
Okay. So offensive, I'd never even heard of it before, other than you using it occasionally, so I kind of thought it was just a word you made up.
Which is also on brand. So, yeah. And that's kind of it. I just kind of thought, like, you dumbass, you rube. Like, yeah, no, that is, I'm with you. I always thought it was fun and jovial, and I have learned to people it is not fun, it is not jovial, and I was in the vinegar strokes of being put on the back on the CERB because of it. So I have learned my lesson, Joel Gasson.
So you won't be using it again, at least publicly.
Not. Is this public? Does anybody listen to this? But no, I will.
No one listens to this.
I will not be using it in an open forum.
Okay. Next, this came in late last night from Evan.
Okay.
I don't know if it's really a question for you. This might be a question better answered by Lacey.
Okay, fair. She is asleep with the children right now.
That's fair. I didn't actually expect her to get the answer, but
that's fair. Is it Evan Schemenauer?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is okay.
He has to rate your drunk dancing ability.
Okay, so this comes from a story.
Because to me, this seems like a question better answered by someone watching a drunk person dance rather than what the drunk person thinks of their dancing. But anyway,
which Evan has done. So Evan, my buddy Todd, and I all traveled to Peterborough for my good friend Casey's funeral, and Casey was not a religious man, kind of like us. And he just had his service at a funeral home. So we fly to Toronto, drive it to Peterborough, go out for lunch with our buddy Stephen Stamp. Great lacrosse broadcaster, by the way, Stamper. And we get to the funeral, and we walk in, and we see Casey's dad. We say hello. We say our hellos to the family. And they're like, well, this is like 4 o'clock, and the service doesn't start till 7. And Casey's dad looks at us and goes, holy crap, do I wish I had a bottle of whiskey. And we go, we can find some whiskey. So we spent the whole day drinking in memoriam in the parking lot of a funeral home to our departed friend Casey. So on the way back to Toronto, Evan doesn't drink. Between the emotions of losing a close friend, the length of the drinking, and the fact that I was in Toronto, I went past zesty to blackout. Which led to a wager when we were at the Gentleman's Club before going back to our hotel for our brief 3-hour nap of whether or not I could get up on stage and dance. Which I did. I can tell you, Joel, the bouncer at that Gentleman's Club doesn't think I'm a very good dancer. So I would say my drunk dancing skills are a -10. I am perhaps the world's worst dancer. I have no rhythm. I can't really shake my ass, which might be one of my best assets. And I just kind of awkwardly do this robot arm thing. So I would say, despite for the entertainment of those around me, I am a terrible, terrible, terrible drunk dancer. And my wife would back that up. And Evan, I'm sure you'd back that up as well, as we've taught. So there's the background to that question, all to come to the answer of, I'm terrible.
What is it about Peterborough? Like, does everyone in Ontario have, like, a Peterborough story?
I think so.
Because yeah.
I remember, and I had a Peterborough story before that Peterborough story. Like, it's a rite of passage in Ontario. Everybody has a Peterborough story. I was scouted by the Peterborough Petes when I was a goalie. And they were like, yeah, we're going to keep an eye on you. We want you to maybe come for a rookie camp. And I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. Then they met my dad, who's shorter than me. And my mom, who's shorter than my dad. That invite never came. They realized that, no, I was not a tall 15-year-old that hadn't finished growing, that I was done growing. And I was So I, like, is that, like, make me, like, double Ontarian? I have 2 good Peterborough stories?
Maybe. I don't know. For me, I had a buddy
yes,
that
what's your Peterborough story? Because obviously you have one, if you're bringing this up, being an Ontarian.
Yeah, so I have a buddy of mine who went to university there. So me and another buddy went to go visit him one time for a weekend. Basically just an excuse to drink all weekend. And so we started the night at his apartment, and then we went out to the Pig's Ear.
Right, yep.
The bar now closed, unfortunately. But yeah, we went there, had a good time. Side story to that, this is back before, good beer basically existed everywhere. And I didn't know better. So I think we were drinking, it was like Rickard's Red or something, or some kind of red beer most of the night.
Which is kind of dipped your toe into it, because I remember being a Rickard's Red fan when I was younger. Yep.
Even now I've learned Rickard's Red is basically just Canadian with food coloring in it. But anyway.
Really?
Yeah, it's basically, that's what I've heard, is it's Canadian with, like, some kind of additive to it to make it that color.
Mind blown. Okay, continue.
Yeah. Anyway,
Red.
Yeah, and then my buddy comes by because they would sell these, like, trays with, like, all these little glasses on them, and you'd bring them back to the table. And then my buddy brought a tray of freaking Labatt 50. Which is one of the world's worst beers. Yes. And even though we were at the point of the night where normally, you reach that point in the night where everything kind of starts to taste the same, you could still tell the difference between Labatt 50 and pretty much anything else in the bar.
Do you remember Lakeport?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Lakeport was always that beer for me, too. I couldn't, no matter when I had it, I knew it was Lakeport.
I drank the odd, like, I bought the odd case of, like, Lakeport honey. Because it was, like, cheap.
I drank that warm at a high school party once.
Anyway, so that was just kind of the side story of that. That's not, like, the fun part of the story.
Okay, good. I like fun Peterborough stories.
So then we went, and then so from there, from the Pig's Ear, we went to the Trashtorium. I don't know if it's still open or not. There's some weird club bar thing there. Anyway, we went there. It was, like, pitchers were on sale that night because it was the night where they want to drain the kegs. So that's basically what that was. I think they were like $10 each or something, maybe even cheaper. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. And I also don't remember the end of the night. At a certain point, I don't remember anything happening until the next day. We're back at the Pig's Ear, kind of dog's the hair of the dog kind of thing. Getting over it. And we're at the bar, and some guy comes up to us, and he's like, "Oh, I remember you from last night." I was like, "Pardon?" He was apparently the bouncer at the Trash. And he's like, "Yeah, you're like," he's like, "Yeah, I kicked you out of the Trashtorium last night." I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "You were probably the nicest guy I've ever kicked out of a bar." Because I guess at one point I had like stumbled off trying to find the bathroom, couldn't find it.
Right.
So the bouncer found me and told me that I had had too much to drink and it was time to go. And I just responded with, "Yeah." and then walked out the door, and then quickly turned around and tried to explain to him, and it took him a while to figure out that I needed my buddy to get into his apartment.
Okay. There is nothing more on brand for you than turning around to a bouncer saying, "You need to leave," and you just going, "Yeah, I do." Like, you are one of the most chillest human beings I've met in my life, and that's so on brand.
I mean, obviously, I don't remember it happening, so he was right.
Well, that's it. Like, there's the difference between the two of us. I get blacked out and try to dance at a gentleman's club, and you just go, "Yeah, I should go home."
So yeah, that's mostly my Peterborough story. Yeah.
It is. I think it is a rite of passage for everybody in Ontario that they need to visit Peterborough and just have a night.
Anyway, so back to the questions.
Right. Okay.
Ferlin asking, what does John think is your most attractive physical feature? Be noted that normally when we always record this podcast with cameras off for a reason.
Yeah, right. And usually me watching a replay of the Bombers Grey Cup, which I'm doing here again. For this one was an easy one. It's either your perfect beard. I don't know how you keep it at this, like, kind of there, but like not really, just tempting you. I'm teasing. I have this perfect beard, like, or your eyes. Like, God, you legitimately have beautiful eyes, and like,
except for I'm hungover as hell.
Yeah, but neither of us are really. We both get, like, you and I are universally like squinty-eyed hungover guys, so it kind of works. But no, it's either your beard, and if it's not your beard, it's your eyes. It's like, oh, like my heart skips a little beat there. Like, I see what Jenny sees in you, right? Like, I'm just a disaster of unibrow and hair everywhere, and thanks to the pandemic and my eating habits, a lot of fat face right now. It's no bueno. But you, whew, those eyes, that beard, goddamn gas, you got it together.
The trimmers make it really easy. You just set the length and you go.
Yeah. See, the thing is, though, I can't grow a decent beard because, like, everywhere else grows great on my face except my mustache, and it's awful. And I wish I could pull off what you got, but like, yeah, no. Like, on your wedding day, like, Jenny stole the show.
Well,
like,
yeah, as she should.
Jenny looked beautiful, but like, don't give yourself discredit. Like, you also were looking mighty fine, and I say that with all respect.
It's 2021. It's 2021. That's all we have to say now, right? So.
I said no homo. I'll say good game. We're fine.
Absolutely. On that note, the final question is the main event.
The other one I have prepared for. Yes, I know this one.
The question we've been, if you follow the thread, with the one we've probably all been waiting for. Yes. Because I said no topic was off limit.
Nothing.
So, friend of the show, Jacques Cartier, hashtag Ada Nation fan, said no topic off limit, ? So he asked, if they were to name a sex position after you, what would it be?
It would be the sexy tucker. It'd be like the curler, okay? And the best thing is, depending on your partner, this is fairly universal, okay? So what you do is your partner is face down, like stomach down on the bed, where normally you'd be like, it's kind of like doggy, right? Except what you do for more stability is you bring your left or right leg up, whichever is your slide leg, and you tilt it out to the side like you're delivering a rock to give you more balance. And then you just kind of, like, you don't go like full curling drag on the right leg. You just go like halfies. And if you're a curler, you are going to discover that this is far easier than traditional on your knees with the hips with the doggy. And like I said, it's universal. It works for everybody. So that would be...
Go on.
The sex position named after me, the Fraser.
So my follow-up to that would then be, you would then have a risk of blowing out your knee when you're in bed with your wife.
Yes, it is something that can potentially happen. But the funniest thing is, Lacey and other previous partners I've had. Oh God, she's gonna murder me for even saying her name.
She doesn't listen.
No, we know she doesn't. Nobody tag her on Twitter. Nobody notices that you're using that other foot for balance. So they just think that, like, wow, the angles, they line up. You know your angles. You're good. You can go for a while. Nah. It's just the little out turn on that foot, just like you're throwing a rock. I see. The thing is, the difference is, though, don't get up on your toe so you won't blow your knee up. I stay flat-footed. I cannot throw a curling rock flat-footed, but gosh darn it, I can have sex with a flat foot. I don't get it either.
No one ever said you made sense, John. So
I've never tried to.
So our other topic du jour today. There's no real way to transition out of that. So I'm just gonna...
And the funniest thing is the second Chuck tweeted that. I'm like, I'm like, what is one thing I do that's unique other than being fat and hairy? I'm like, yeah, the left foot thing. Gentlemen, you're welcome. And the worst thing is because Jock's gonna listen, and you unfortunately have to hear this. And anybody else that listens is gonna listen. And they're gonna be in that moment. And you're gonna do the thing with your foot, and you're gonna think of me now. I have ruined.
Honey, what happened? Why did you stop all of a sudden? There's just a terrible image in my mind all of a sudden, and it was over. It's not you. Don't worry.
I can picture. I can picture you needing to play this back for Jenny so she doesn't feel like there's anything wrong. You're like, no, I swear it's John. You're thinking of John? No. Listen to the podcast. He put a hex on me.
So yeah, the other sort of thing going on right now, of course, is vaccinations and COVID-19, and we all know what this does or doesn't mean for the CFL at this point. But the interesting angle that's kind of evolving in front of our very eyes right now, especially down in the United States, is, what do we do with the vaccinated people? Where does it go once everyone's sort of vaccinated, or most people are vaccinated? And it's brought up an interesting sort of conversation in Buffalo, where the Buffalo Bills, their ownership group, which of course also owns the Buffalo Sabres, has said by the fall they would like to have 100% capacity. I believe it had state approval to have 100% capacity at events, as long as everyone is vaccinated. So they were basically saying, if you're not vaccinated, sorry, you're not coming to our games. Which, number one, which I'm in favor of, because number one, it's just smart. Number two, to me, that sounds like a very good call to say, hey, if you're on the fence, go get your frickin' shot, because you're not going to be able to go to a football game without it.
Right. And could you imagine how much of a dumbass or the audacity you'd have to like be a football reporter at this point and not have it? Like because again, like, these companies and these teams are going to say, if you're not vaccinated, we don't want you around, and they are 100% right to do so. I like what the Bills are doing. I do find it interesting too. It's starting to creep in too, right? Like, my youngest sister bought tickets for the Arkells concert at Tim Hortons Field in 2022, right? Full year away. You're thinking full capacity, all is going to be well. There is fine print on there basically saying you need your vaccine to get in. I don't think this is a bad idea. I think especially like outdoor venues, I think maybe you have a bit more wiggle room because, chance of transmission outdoors is low. But indoor venues, I wouldn't be surprised to see, if you buy a ticket for something, you need to prove you're vaccinated to get in.
Yeah, I think even at outdoor facilities, because the outdoor facilities still have sort of indoorish type areas around concessions and that sort of thing. And
the bathroom, yes.
Yeah, and outdoors, is still a risk if you have like 50,000 people side by side, right? So
right, of course, right. Like,
yeah, so for like 3 hours, yeah.
Yeah, we haven't seen that to the degree yet. And the ones we have, people are still wearing masks, but I think that is the easiest and quickest way to go back to normal. And if anything, as you said, incentivizing people that are maybe on the fence. Like, I look at our province, and almost everybody's a Rider fan. Right? Roughly 30% of the province is done. Probably 60% by the time that they're even talking about doing CFL games or training camp or anything like that. I think it's smart from the teams. I think it's smart for the fans to just say, great, come on in if you're vaccinated. Because then nobody's going to catch it. And those that can't be, you let them be, if somebody's immunocompromised, couldn't get the vaccine, something like that. Well, now you have the literal basis of herd immunity that you have 29,000 vaccinated people and maybe 1,000 that aren't, right?
Yeah, I think in the Buffalo thing there was fine print of saying if you have bona fide health or religious reasons for not taking this, there are exceptions, but it has to be 100% truth. It has to basically you need a doctor saying you can't take this shot to be able to get in without it.
Right, exactly. Which I think is probably the future of sports right now, at least for the next couple of years, right? Yeah. And that to me lays the CFL's footprint because again, I look at Saskatchewan. I think if tomorrow if you announce the season is going to start on time and you said, but we can only sell tickets to vaccinated fans, I think the Riders probably still sell out. I think there's enough people that have had it. As of today, it's about 35% of this province. You probably still find 30,000 people that want to go to a football game because, holy crap, I'm antsy to go out and do anything.
Yeah, and I think it's an angle, too, I think especially from the CFL perspective, where if you went to the governments and you said, okay, as part of our return to play, as part of the fan side of this, where this is what we're going to do, no one's getting in unless they're vaccinated, you're getting approval on that. I don't think there's any government that's going to stand in the way and say, no, we don't want you to have fans because, even if they're vaccinated. I don't think that's something that can fly. And so it would be smart just from that angle to do that, to make sure you can actually still have a business, because I'm on the side of if the CFL doesn't play this year, you might as well just shut the doors.
You might as well turn it to the XFL.
Yeah. So, and I know there's a lot of people out there who like to talk about, freedoms and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay.
Quote fitness blogs.
Yeah, and so, there are... Yeah, so, the government can't come and tell you that you need to take this shot. There's no question about that. No one's really disputing that fact. As much as some of us would like that, we understand it's not feasible. Mm-hmm. However, private business is still private business, and they're allowed to do what they think is right for that private business. And so if that private business, in this case, especially one that involves, large gatherings as their sort of their main revenue source, then that business is probably going to decide that we're only going to let vaccinated people in for the safety of our business, frankly. And, of course, of their people and all that sort of stuff, too. But number one, their money, because they need people to feel safe coming to said events.
The problem is, and I hate to say it, you're right, Gas, this seems like the easiest thing to put on the table to all health officials.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a health official in this country that says no to that plan. And that would trickle down to people working the concessions, the volunteers with the 50-50s, the guy that's yelling cold beer. I don't think there's an official that comes into that place. And I don't think it would be an unreasonable thing for the CFL to say, hey, this is our plan. And come out and say that, because that's it. People are looking for something. Mm-hmm. But again, this goes back to the fact this league is rudderless right now. I don't know if that's Ambrosi. I don't know if that's the governors. I don't know who this is. But to me, this seems like an obviously glaring, simple solution that lines up with current timelines that we have, that when Justin Trudeau, and whatever, everybody can blame him or hate on him or consider him a swear word, but when the federal government is coming out and saying, yeah, we're anticipating everybody by July long, you think if you're the CFL, you'd go, hey, let's look for a July long start. Let's say only vaccinated people, and away we go. And I think you would just bring certainty to everybody and motivation, and I think it'd be one of the most brilliant things they could do. But unfortunately, they can't get out of their own way, and nobody seems to be willing to remove their own head from their own ass.
No, that's kind of been the theme of the last year.
So, oh, God. It's brutal.
So basically, long story short, if you want to go to a football game in person again, just get your shot. Get vaccinated.